Welcome, friends. I'm Chris. I'm from Transformation Nation Yoga and Wellness, and welcome to our Sunrise Yin uplifting sequence. What I think you'll need to be safe, to enjoy, and get the most out of your practice today are a yoga mat, at least one blanket, a bolster, and one or two yoga blocks. So press pause on your recording, roll out your mat, gather up your props, and when you're ready, press play. I'll meet you on your mat for our Sunrise Yin uplifting sequence. So I'll invite you to make your way into a comfortable upright seated position. Stack the joints, float your head over your shoulders, over your hips. Find length along your spinal column and allow yourself some space that maybe on an exhale, all your soft tissues start to drape down toward the earth. We're going to open up practice today with an invitation for 3 ohms and then a sound healing. So before we do that, let's do a cleansing breath. So draw in a big, deep, life-affirming inhale. Exhale through your mouth, make a ha sound. And now for the next 3 breaths, I'll cue for an inhale, and you can choose to join me for an om, or you could choose not to om. Inhale. You chant Om, imagine that you are everywhere. Inhale. As you chant Om, shift your attention to the space between your eyebrows, the Ajna chakra. Inhale. Come back to a comfortable, natural breath. Body's relaxed, spinal column is straight. Focus your attention on the lower 3 chakras, so from the base of the pelvic floor up to your navel. Visualize the color red. And then I'll cue you to join me in making a sound, and the sound is ah, A-H. And we'll make this in a similar way. You'll exhale that sound as we did the Om sound. Inhale. Lift your focus up to your chest. Visualize the color green. The sound is U, E-W, and it's a fairly high-pitched U. Inhale. Shift your attention to your throat. Visualize the color blue. The sound is So, S-O-H. Inhale. So. Bring your attention to your mouth and the area around your mouth. Visualize the color sky blue. The sound is E. Inhale. E. Bring your attention up to your nose, your nasal area, your full sinus cavity. Visualize the color indigo. The sound is sun, S-U-N. Inhale. Sun. Imagine sound vibrations bouncing around inside the entire body in the head. Visualize a radiant white light. The sound is sum, S-U-M. Inhale. Sum. Feel for the residual vibrations from all of these sounds. And if you chose to close your eyes down, gently blink your eyes open. I'd like you to make your way into a squat. Now, the squat could be with your back up against a wall. You could have your seat on a block, but I'd like the feet hip distance apart, toes turned out 10 or 12 degrees. Another option, what I'm going to choose here is a bolster. You could use a folded blanket under the heels. And then once you're in your squat, just let your forehead, your fingers drape down toward the earth. And we're going to go back and forth between dangling, which is like a ragdoll shape, and squat a couple times this morning. So just as a reminder, we're looking for a threshold between discomfort and pain. So on a scale from 0 to 10, start at a 4 to a 6. And if you find some poses that really challenge you this morning, and I don't know what your experience is, friend. Some days I have the poses just feel like they come pretty easily, and other days I get a lot of sensation in them. Once we get above a level of 6 in this practice, it's not wrong. It's not wrong, but it's also not necessary. What I find the big thing that comes to me from bumping the sensation up significantly beyond a 6 is it just makes me not want to do that pose anymore. And we're going to start to make the transition into dangling. So press down into your feet, lift up into standing in a forward fold. Shift the weight into the balls of your feet, relax your neck. You can grab opposite elbows and sway. You could interlace your hands at the base of your skull. Your fingers could dangle down toward the earth. That's totally up to you. But bend your knees enough that your whole belly rests on your thighs. right? So that might be a very generous bend in the knees. If you look at my knees, you could park a bus behind them. And it's a good dangling shape. It's a good forward fold. It's sustainable. Another option, if this is a lot for the lower back, hands on blocks might be a really nice support. These shapes like this, especially when we're practicing them in vinyasa yoga, often feel like resting shapes. And a sort of little micro breaks people look forward to. With longer holds, I find we get into muscles that I never thought that we'd be using for poses like this. So it becomes less of a rest shape. But when you start to feel strain, where I would not want you to feel the strain is in the lower back. So if the strain gets into the lower back, hands on blocks, or put more of a bend in your knees, more of the weight of your belly on your thighs. All right, we're going to start to transition back to our squat. So one thing that I didn't exactly cue for on the other side, I used to teach this as one option, was to let the heels just lift, right? And you can, it's not wrong, but I would prefer you have the heels resting on something. Even if it's a bolsters I'm doing or a rolled blanket. The reason being, what I figured out is like it's not wrong to have the heels lifted in a squat, and having the heels lifted is not a pathway toward eventually being able to do a healthy natural squat. Whereas having something under the heels is. Check into like what's your level of sensation and where are you feeling muscular engagement. Right, there will be some necessary. The human tendency is the weight tends to come back toward the heels. Right, so there'll be some level of muscular engagement required to keep shifting the weight into the balls of your feet so the body doesn't rock backward. But everywhere else, see if you can relax and just release the soft tissues down toward the earth. So with the uplifting sequence that Annie planned and put together, it's a pretty fiery sequence for a yin pose. So it's a really nice morning practice on those days where we're using the yin practice as part of our pathway toward getting ready to have a productive day. We're going to come forward into dangling again, that forward fold. Again, just as a reminder, weight in the balls of the feet, belly resting on the thighs, and relax your neck. We're going to start to transition to tabletop. So for me, I'm just going to place my hands down on the earth, bring my knees under my hips. We're going to transition to dragon pose. So step your right foot forward to the outside of your right hand. Maybe scoop the heel of the right hand under the right heel, scooch that right heel forward. Maybe tuck the toes under your left foot, walk your left leg long behind you. Now you could, if you like, fold forward onto blocks, your forearms, heart coming down toward the earth, or have hands on blocks. Stack the joints, head float over, more or less over shoulders, more or less over hips, with more weight drawing the hips down toward the earth. This is totally your preference. I used to more often do this with a forward fold. What I find is it's a bit more fiery for me, and it's better for hip mobility for me to leave the stack joints, but this is all just personal preference. Check in with your body. Notice your current level of sensation. Notice if you've opened up some space in your body once more. And if that's the case, if you're in a forward fold, you could come closer down toward the earth, or you could even tuck your chin in towards your chest. That will fire up the back line of your body. If you're choosing to maintain stacked joints, you could lift your chin slightly up toward the stars, but also focus on releasing the hips forward toward that right heel. Notice for how much engagement, especially if you have stacked joints, how much are you holding on or clamping in the shoulders, the hands, forearms. We're going to start to transition back into tabletop. So maybe start by pressing into the right heel, draw your hips back behind you until you've got enough slack. You can unwind that right knee. So right hip floats over your right knee, and then right away we'll start the other side. Step the left foot forward to the outside of the left hand. Maybe scoop that left heel further forward. Maybe tuck your toes under your right foot. Walk the right knee back behind you. Relax, disengage as much muscular engagement as you can so the hips release forward toward that left heel. And then either fold forward on the inside of your left thigh or stack the joints. Check in with your body. Notice your current level of sensation. And if you're in that threshold between discomfort and pain, no reason to change anything. But if you've opened up some space and your body wants more, you know all the tools that you have available to change the sensation. All right, so we're going to start the transition out of this. So if you fold it forward, lift yourself up first, and start pressing into that left heel. Send your hips back behind you, unwind your left thigh, and we're going to reset for both sides at the same time. So take your knees out wide, big toes come together to touch, and we're going to pulse down into child's pose 3 times for 1, 2, 3, and then we'll move on. So take the right knee forward, maybe toward the center of your mat, right heel arcing out to your left, and then wrap left knee over your right. Maybe place a block under your seat. Sit back into shoelace pose. Now, if you want to add sensation, I am fired up. I'm like at a 7 right now, so I'm not going to add a thing. But you could start to slide the heels forward toward the top edge of your mat. But see if you can maintain the same engagement in the upper thighs, in the knees. The other option you have, if this is really easy for you, is to fold forward over your thighs. That's not going to be possible in my body. Right, and another option here is square pose. Like not every body is going to enjoy shoelace. It's not going to be a good shape for everyone. So you could have right shin parallel to the top edge of your mat, and then hook the pinky edge blade of your left foot over your right knee, and allow that left knee to fall down toward the earth, toward that right heel, maybe with a block in between the knee and the heel, or maybe the block is on top. Ooh. we're going to start to transition to the other side. So if you chose square pose, now left shin parallel to the top edge of your mat on the bottom, right shin stacks on top of left. Or unwind the legs. Let me see if I can set this up a little bit more efficiently. So left knee forward with the left heel arcing over toward the right edge of your mat. Bring your hands forward, almost like a kind of a strange tabletop. Bring your right knee down to the mat on top of your left. Now block under your seat. Ooh, that's already more sensation. And once again, you have the option. You can start to bring the heels forward, or you can fold forward. Same thing, I didn't mention this, but if you chose square pose and that top knee comes all the way down to the bottom ankle and you've got lots of space and it's easy, you want to add more sensation to it, you can always fold forward over that front shin. All right, friends, start to shift forward. We're going to come out of this shape and then make your way into a camel pose. So I'm going to choose a camel with two blocks, one between the inner thighs. And I'm going to choose my camel. I'll have tucked toes. And I'll place the block in between my feet as a spacer. Hands on the glutes as if you had your hands in the back pockets of denim jeans. Tweeze your elbows back behind you. Start pressing your hips forward. Feel as if there was a string lifting your heart up out of your chest and toward the heavens. And then if it feels comfortable and safe, you can drop the crown of your head back behind you, even reach one or both hands back for the heels. I'm not going to choose to do that, but it's an option. But exercise some restraint. As a yin camel, we're going to be in this hold for a bit. And if we take on too much sensation, it can be a lot. So eye on the prize, the sensation level that we want here is 4 to 6. Now it is a yin pose, but it's a fiery yin pose. So we continue to press the hips forward. We continue to lift out of the heart. So if you've dropped the crown of your head back behind you, bring your chin to your chest. If you've taken your hands down to your heels, bring your hands back to your glutes. And then stack the joints, float your head over your shoulders, over your hips. If you chose blocks, release the blocks. Press the tops of your feet down into the earth, sit down into a thunderbolt, so sitting onto the heels. I'm going to turn and face toward you. In our breath practice from here is going to be Kapalabhati. So with Kapalabhati, we'll exhale through the nose, a sharp sneeze-like exhale as we snap the belly button in toward the spine. But then as we inhale, we just relax the belly. So this is not snap in, snap in, press out. This is snap in, relax out. Now to keep the time for the breath, I'm going to snap. I will tell you the first time I had a teacher do this for me, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And what I thought, if I'm honest, was I'm not a dog and I'm not going to respond as if I was a dog. But then this teacher just convinced me after we did this a couple times, was like, this is such a great way of keeping time. So I'm full awareness you're not a dog. I have no intention to treat you like a dog. Draw in a half breath in, and then we exhale, exhale, exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Eyes are closed. Breath is natural. Body is relaxed. And then come forward onto your belly. Find a Sphinx pose with a block in between your wrists, the highest setting. So your forearms on the earth are making the shape of the number 11. Lengthen your legs long behind you first, and then relax everything from your lower back down to the tips of your toes. And maybe release your forehead down to the earth. So there may be a slight amount of muscular engagement required to keep your shoulders floating over your elbows, but I'm hoping you can relax more and let most of that job go into the skeletal structure. You can even, like my head's resting on the block and I've got a little bit of a slumping in between my shoulders. Soften your belly too. We tend to tense up and hold on in the glutes and or the belly. And when I invite you, when I offer the option and the possibility of adding sensation in a few minutes, that's something else to look out for. Just notice if you're holding on or gripping in the glutes or the belly, or if you take on sensation there. And then I think it's a good practice every time we're invited in a yin practice to add additional sensation and we accept that invitation to check in like that and notice what did we give up along the way and was it a good trade? Right? Once we're in the trade, sometimes just being aware of it will allow us to relax it.
But if we can't relax it, I would argue for me in my practice, it's probably not a very good trade. Check in with your body. Notice your current level of sensation. And if you're in that 4 to 6 range, no reason to change a thing. But if you've opened up some space, take your hands out wide, turn your fingers out to the outside, press into the heels of your hands until your elbows lift off the mat. And then maybe even walk your hands closer in towards your waist. And then, as I mentioned, check in. Did you tense up in your belly? Did you tense up in your glutes or shoulders or the flesh around your eyes? And this will definitely be a more fiery pose than the Sphinx pose. But see where you can release and relax. So if you're in seal, start to transition back to Sphinx, coming back to forearms. Slide your block off to the side, lower your heart down to the earth, and bring your hands under your shoulders. Lift up into tabletop. Grab maybe a bolster. Slide the bolster under your hands so maybe a third of the length of the bolster, maybe half, is under the level of your wrists. Turn your toes to the outside. Start to walk your knees out as you walk the ankles out. We're going into frog pose. Notice the tendency for the hips to want to scoot forward or back and see if you can keep them right in the middle. And then lower your heart down to your bolster, soften your belly,
If you have more space and you want more sensation, a couple of tools right away. You can remove the bolster, lower your heart down to the earth, or you can take your knees out wider, keeping your ankles in line with your knees from the crown of the head to the heels line. And once again, if you'd like to add sensation, you can lower your heart closer down to the earth. You can take your knees and ankles out wider, ensuring that your hips are floating more or less over your knees, and your knees and ankles are in one line from head to toe. So we're going to come out of this, and I'll cue you to go onto your belly. So if you would, shift the crown of your head forward till the hips start to drop down toward the earth. And then you can walk your knees back together. You can slide the bolster out from under your chest. And either tee your right arm out to the side or goal post it out to the side. Bring your left hand under your left shoulder. And I'd like you to have a block somewhere close to your left hand, within reach. Start pressing into your left hand. Lift the whole left side of your body, float it over the right. Maybe put a bend in that left knee, step your left foot behind your right knee, broken wing. So sometimes I see people here with the head lifted up or they're straining to keep the neck lifted up. I'd like you to have your neck relaxed. So maybe place your right temple on top of the earth. Right. If you'd like more sensation, you can walk your right elbow further away from your right shoulder, or if you've teed that right arm out, the fingers of the whole right hand can walk further to the right. I used to cue this if you wanted to add sensation to wrap the left arm maybe behind the lower back, but I find that's less effective for me than placing a block at any height under that left hand. It's for me, it's the action of lifting the left shoulder higher up, stacking it more over the right, that's going to really add sensation in the front of the right shoulder here. And we'll start to transition to the other side. So if you've wrapped that left hand behind your lower back, or if it's on a block, bring it down to the earth, roll back onto your belly, and then we'll change sides. So either goalpost or tee your left arm out to the side. Bring your right hand under your right shoulder, rest your left temple on the earth, and then start pressing into your right hand. Lift the whole right side of your body up over your left. Maybe step that right foot behind your left knee. Once again, if you wanted to add sensation, walk either the fingers of your left hand or your left elbow further away from your left shoulder. Create more space. Or any action that lifts the right shoulder up closer to, so it's closer to stacked over your left. But notice if you added sensation, did you tense up in that left arm or the left shoulder? And if so, it's okay. But ask yourself, was it a good trade-off? And do I have the space and the opportunity to relax and let go of some of that gripping? Bring your right hand onto your right shoulder, roll back down onto your belly. And then from here, make your way into any final resting shape. On your seat, your belly, your back, your side, balancing the two qualities of relaxation and alertness. Swallow 2 or 3 times for vagal toning. And start to draw in some deeper breaths. So each inhale, go bigger in your belly and your chest. Each exhale, feel for more fullness and completion. If you'd like to reanimate your body with some small movements, feel free to do so. Maybe starting with the digits, wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes. Maybe something with your neck, maybe gently drawing your chin from shoulder to shoulder. If your body wants more movement, invitation to go bigger at any time. You could rotate your hands at the wrists, your feet at the ankles, or maybe take a full body stretch. And then make your way into a fetal position on either side. Take 3 or 4 breaths. Check in, notice how you're feeling. What's the quality of your physical body? What's the quality of your emotional body? What's the quality of your nervous system? And then press yourself up into any seated position, any soft eyes, so open with a soft gaze or gently closed. And you can do anything that you like with your hands. Thank you, dear friend, once again for moving and breathing with me. It's always an honor to guide you through your practice. If you're moved to do so, draw your thumbs to the space between your eyebrows. Blessings to you and your family. And that concludes our practice for today. Once again, friends, I'm Chris. I'm from Transformation Nation Yoga and Wellness, and this was our Sunrise Yin uplifting sequence. You're doing amazing. Keep going.